podcast, where today we are diving into a classic by none other than Oscar Wilde. In less than 30 pages, Wilde accomplishes what many full length novels can only dream of masterful precision in both language and plotting, and a story that's funny, poignant, and full of brilliance. So here's the setup. An American family, loud, brash, and proudly waving their flags, acquires an old English mansion from the stuffy, proper Lord Canterville. But here's where Wilde takes a twist. This mansion isn't just old, it's haunted. Enter Sir Simon the Ghost, a ghost with flair, drama, and a bit of a murderous past. What unfolds is a hilarious clash of cultures, as Americans with no respect for the supernatural brush aside Sir Simon's spooky theatrics. They are far more interested in practical solutions, like stain removers for bloodstains and oiling chains so that they don't rattle too loudly. Wilde doesn't just deliver laugh, though. He weaves in deeper themes, forgiveness and redemption. But who knew a haunted mansion story could have such a profound undertone? And we have Anaya with us today to talk about these various undertones. Hello, Anaya. Good to see you.
Hello everyone, my name is Anaya. I'm 9 years old and I study in Sri Ram School at Avali. I've always loved reading books. My parents say books and my dog are my two best friends.
Well, books are my best friend too. But here, let's talk about the character of the Canterville Ghost. In what ways does his character evolve throughout the story? And what does this reveal about his personal struggles and desires?
The Canterville Ghost is the main character of this story. He has been scaring and chasing people out of the Canterville castle for years. But once the Otis family moved in, things changed. Yes, I have to agree that the Canterville Ghost is kind of scary at first because he tries to scare the family, but then we find out he's actually really sad. And Virginia, the only daughter in the Otis family, makes him realize this through honest conversations. He used to be a human a long time ago, but now he's stuck as a ghost. As the story goes on, we see that he wants to be forgiven for his wrong decisions and actions and rest in peace. In the end, he isn't really scary. He's more like someone who wants to be happy and free again.
Oh God, now you've actually made me feel sorry for the ghost. How does the setting of Canterville Chase contribute to the overall mood of the story?
The castle is really big and scary with everything you'd expect in a spooky story. I definitely wouldn't want to live there. It's old and has seen many families come and go, making it the perfect place for a ghost to try and scare people. But instead of being frightened, the Otis family isn't really scared of the ghost. So even though the house is creepy and has all the ingredients for a haunting, it doesn't help the ghost much because the family isn't easily scared.
Yeah, the spooky atmosphere of the mansion enhances the ghost's efforts to haunt the family. But it doesn't help much, does it? Well, Anaya, uh, you're new with us, and we wanted to know what do you think of the North Star program of Bookbibuli?
The North Star program by Bookbibuli is really fun for kids who love books. They have a cool podcast where they talk about different books, and there are exciting events where you can meet authors and participate in fun activities related to books. It's a great way to enjoy reading and have fun with stories.
Well, I do hope that you're having fun with us. Now tell us, how do the interactions between the ghost and the Otis family reflect the different attitudes They are two different cultures, and if I may say so, it's a clash of cultures. So, in this clash of culture, whose side would you be on and why?
The interactions between the ghost and the Otis family show how different they are in their attitudes. The ghost wants to scare people and he takes his job very seriously. He tries all kinds of spooky tricks to scare the Otis family, but the Otis family isn't like the people the ghost is used to. Instead of being frightened, they offer him oil for his chains when they rattle too much and even clean up the bloodstains he tries to leave. This shows that the Otis family is practical and not easily scared, while the ghost is fed up because he can't scare them like he wants to. Well, I don't know whose side to be on really, but if I have to, I'd pick the side of the Otis family because they are very smart. I love the tricks that the twins play on the ghost. It makes the book very entertaining. It also shows how brave they are, especially Virginia. The Otis family handles the situation calmly and even try to help the ghost, showing kindness instead of fear.
Well, there, listeners, you have Anaya rooting for the Otis family. But Anaya does have to tell us which particular moments and scenes stand out to her in the book narrative that she's rooting so much for the Otis family.
Yes, there are a few moments in the Canterville Ghost that really stand out. One of them is when Mr. Otis first meets the ghost. Instead of being scared, he calmly offers the ghost a bottle of oil for his noisy chains. This moment is funny because the ghost expects Mr. Otis to be terrified, but instead, he treats the ghost like any other person with a problem to solve. Another standout scene is when the ghost tries to scare the Otis twins, but they end up playing tricks on him instead. They set up tripwires and throw pillows at him, which is the opposite of what he expects. These moments are important because they show how the ghost's usual ways of scaring people just don't work on the Otis family, making the story both funny and unique.
Yes, those were my favorite scenes as well. Now, I would like to speak to your mom with your permission. Tell us, Vedika, how have you, as parents, been instrumental in creating a love for books in Anaya? Do you believe you've done right by her?
There's a quote I read some time back, and it says, "A book is a dream that you hold in your hands." I think in today's digital world, the touch and feel of books still hold a special place in our hearts, at least mine, and even Anaya's. Anaya, at a very young age, perhaps as young as 6 months, took to books like a fish takes to water. I read to her throughout my pregnancy, and then my husband made it a ritual to read to her every night. She's been captivated by the many characters we've introduced to her. When she turned 5, we no longer needed to read to her. She picked up reading seamlessly. Now, the world of books is truly her oyster.
Well, how do you work your magic to get your child hooked on reading at home? And can you tell us about a book or a story that made such a big impression on your little one that they still talk about it at lunch, dinner, and maybe even breakfast?
Honestly, we didn't have to try hard with Anaya. Getting her to stop reading is now the real challenge. We've always encouraged her to be as greedy as possible for books. One book series that I'd say that made a huge impression on her or that she's rather obsessed with is the Harry Potter series. She recently wrapped up reading The Cursed Child and she still talks about the series at lunch and dinner. Anaya loves dressing up like the characters from the book, and I think the series has taught her important lessons about loss, the triumph of good over evil, and the value of empathy and friendship.
Last one for you, Anaya. Would you recommend this book to your friends? Do you think they'll be scared or would they enjoy it?
I would definitely recommend this book to my friends. I don't think they'll be too scared because the Otis family isn't really afraid of the ghost, which makes the story more funny than spooky. I think they'll enjoy it because it's full of fun moments, where the ghost tries to be scary, but things don't go as he plans. It's a good mix of funny and a little bit of spooky, and a great introduction to ghost stories for those who never read them before.
Well, thank you so much, Anaya, for being with us today. It's been wonderful having you over.
Before I sign off, I want to thank Bookbibuli for this fun opportunity. I loved recording this podcast, and remember, books are a person's best friend.
Now I have to admit, I'm a big Wilde fan. Wilde's wit is like a smooth velvet glove until it hits you with a punch. Take this line from Mr. Otis, the American who buys the haunted house. I will take the furniture and the ghost at a valuation. I reckon if there were such a thing as a ghost in Europe, we'd have it at home in very short time in one of our public museums or on the road as a show. It is this kind of humor that just lands perfectly every time. And Wilde has such a knack for it. But otherwise, this book is really interesting, and I think it would be a perfect introduction for classics as far as children are concerned. One, because the language is a lot simpler than Wilde would normally use. Two, it's really short. Three, it's a lot of fun and has a lot of children in the book itself who are actually little terrors because they are playing pranks on a ghost. So, honestly, this would be a brilliant introduction for classics. For the adults, if you delve deeper into the book, you will realize that Wilde reveals several other themes and undertones as well. He reveals Sir Simon's darker side, showing us his cold, amoral nature. It's almost casual, but yet he talks about murdering his wife because he thought she was very plain. Wilde's genius also shines in how he plays with the setting. He describes the haunted mansion properly. Canterville Chase. It has gargoyles, secret passages, portraits of long dead ancestors, and dark, looming decor. The mansion isn't just a place of dread, but a stage for Wilde's clever commentary on culture, tradition, and progress. In the end, Wilde takes what could have been a satire about Americans versus the English and transforms it into something much richer, blending the best qualities of both cultures. It is uplifting, it's clever, and it's so wildish. Wilde's prose will make you laugh, think, and maybe even get a little emotional along the way. The books leading to this book are Winnie the Pooh, Paddington, and The Happy Prince. And the one next would be with three more ghosts called A Christmas Carol. Until next week, better read, read better.